I don't know what I'm gonna
do.
do.
I want to be able to walk into your stream room and be like, "Yo, is that a Hemi?"
Yeah, powered by Mopar. Yeah, powered by Dodge.
Yo, Aura, you got a Hemi in that thing?
Looking at your computer.
Looking at my furnace. What's
Outrace,
on the hood?
outrace your GD house.
As long as your computer is also powered by diesel fuel. That's the only way this is gonna work, and then we can maybe get you a Strickland propane.
Strickland propane
sponsorship.
Propane.
We stream propane and propane accessories.
Yeah.
That's it. That's your
I'm
new
good with it.
niche. There you go. You're looking for something new on Twitch. There you go.
I don't want to stream using a bomb, dude.
Look, it's like a special Easter egg. Nobody knows when it's gonna go off, so they have to watch every stream.
That's great.
It'll be fantastic until it goes off. I mean, once it goes off, that's the last stream, but you'll be living high till then.
Literally, because of the fumes in your basement.
Is that against Twitch TOS?
I think so.
Probably.
The harm.
I don't think they would enjoy explosions either.
They'd be like, I think it goes in the self-harm.
And again, probably still wouldn't get banned because I'm not, I don't even know. Right?
They can create an entirely new category for it. It's like speed.
Diesel heads.
If this stream drops under 60 FPS, it's going.
Oh, I would definitely one flight to the tower. I'd be done, dude. That'd be it.
Oh man, sweating every time you open your menu because of the weird chug that goes along with that.
Putting a mod on, trying to put a mod on armor, dude. That's it. That'd be the end of it right then and there.
But see, the more I think about this, the more stream things you could run with it. Hey, chat, for every donation, I'll apply a new mod. For every song, I'll pull a weapon out of my vault.
Oh my god.
I don't know. This sounds like
we're live on the channel right now. There's like 20 people watching us. I just want to say that right now.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 230 of the Planet Destiny Bombcast. Our brand new show. We're back once again with your usual roundtable of hosts. The one, the only, Mr. Aura.
Hi. I have the PC that's going to blow up if it goes below 60 frames per second.
Diesel Dad. New name, Diesel Dad.
Oh, absolutely. Hashtag Diesel Dad for Aura.
I can't be a dad. I've gone back to using a hand cannon. I'm off the auto rifle kick. I've relinquished my dad duties for now.
Oh, man. Have you let go of the air until yet?
Only for a Zealot's reward this week. I'm just trying to play around with faster charge rate because the changes to shotguns makes me think that short charge rate fusion rifles might take that place. So I've been toying with some things, but that's really it. Oh, we hit 32,000 air intel kills this week too. 32K.
Dude, at least you hit that hallmark, that milestone before the Bungie Nerf hammer came flying down the hallway directly towards your face. I'm pretty sure that specific hammer. I'm sure because they name all of these patches internally. This is my own canon. I'm making it up. I'm pretty sure this is the Aura patch that's coming down. It was
we'll see. Well, I was going through my vault. I have like 6 other air intels that don't involve high zoom scopes, like your flash and your torch, which would take the place of the MS3, the high zoom scopes. Because so I don't know how much impact these. So we'll see. 32,000 kills. It's not going away. It might not be as effective, but I can't stop completely using it.
No.
Yeah, and they can't take that from you. You got 32,000 kills with a single weapon. That'll forever be yours. Danfinity also joining us tonight. And I say joining us, but there wouldn't be a show without him. So I don't. It's more like we're joining him. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. I've just been I've been chilling this week. This week I've been just chilling. It's been nice. It's been very nice.
Have you played any Destiny?
I accidentally got Komodo.
I thought you were gonna say I accidentally played Destiny.
No. So
have we gotten that far?
I looked at my Komodo thing. I was like, I got all the kills in the linear fusion rifle, and I got all those in the precision kills, and maybe I should dip into some some comp, see what happens.
Yeah.
And I jumped in and played one match and stunk it up, and then got Komodo. So I mean, it was fine.
You went from 0 comp points to 1,000 in one game.
No, because I guess earlier in the season I had played a little bit, but like I should have just played out that last match at that time. But I was like, oh man, this takes forever, and then stopped. So I just played one round and got it.
Did you get your savior title?
I did get savior. I know at the beginning of the season I was like, no, I'm not gonna try for that thing, and then just got it on accident. So
on accident. I still need to do the legendary Inatam fight to get my savior title.
And it's really easy.
Is that a weekly thing, or is it permanently him as a boss now? Okay,
I'm pretty sure it's permanently them, because the last like couple of times I've gone, it's been Inatam.
Yeah,
and I played it once this week, a couple times last week.
It's permanently him or her, and then each of the sister encounters counts as that sister.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned that last week. For anybody out there who's missing like one of the triumphs for beating one of the Scions, you can get all 3 of them from the Inatam fight. It's fantastic. Those of you who were smart enough to wait until that boss came to do any of this grinding, it's gonna be real easy. But hey, my name is the Black Link. We're here. We've got some stuff to talk about because this has been probably one of the most news-filled weeks for Destiny 2 in quite some time.
Yeah.
We're coming up on the end of the season. We have the official name, Season of the Worthy, for Season 10, and we learned about a lot of stuff this week. The Empyrean restoration effort, the foundation has been built. We completed that, on Monday night? I want to say it was late.
Yes, I think.
It was like late Monday night. It was like maybe 11, almost 12 o'clock. I'm at work, middle of the night, and we blow past the 9,777,700 polarized fractal line that I think was required there. Maybe give or take, a good 700,000.
We may have gone
Tuesday.
past it. We may have doubled it up at this point. I don't know if they're still keeping track, but a lot of people are still ripping bounties, ripping weapons, exchanging things with Spider on good exchange days to farm even more, whether it's XP or god rolls of weapons out there. There's still people out there like donating.
We're at 12 billion as of this recording.
That's wild.
And we still got a week?
Yeah,
before,
you got a week
before Season of the Worthy drops on like the 12th or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It starts the 10th. Trials starts the 13th.
Right.
That's
3 days after.
And that's where we're going with this conversation, because of course, like midnight, we passed that barrier. Bungie throws up a dev insight video officially unveiling the return of Trials of Osiris.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very much the Trials of Osiris you remember from back in Destiny 1. In basically every way, shape, and form. Down to the game mode, 3v3 Elim, the maps, Anomaly, super happy about that. The Cauldron and Exodus Blue, and even the weapons and armor that you're going to be earning as you play it. As the initial Trials set, the initial Trials armor we got to see is the original Exile armor from back in House of Wool. What did you guys think of the trial unveiling? There's been a lot of conversations about it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts.
After you, Aura.
No, after you, Dan.
Okay. All right. So the night that it was released, I didn't get to watch the thing because I fell asleep.
Like a sane person.
Like a sane person. But I watched it the next morning, and I was really excited about a lot of the changes that they were bringing in with it. The armor looks good. I think the glows are cool. The thing that bothered me, that worried me a little bit, was light enabled. Bit. Yeah. But until Luke Smith clarified later on in the week, I think it was I think it was Thursday. The video came out on Tuesday. Thursday before the TWAB, he announced that they were going to be shutting off the artifact power leveling for not only Trials but also Iron Banner.
Yes.
And Yeah, so that's cool. The modifiers, like your gun skills, will still be in. Hence why stuff like anti-barrier rounds will work against a Titan's barrier. But
Ooh, we're gonna talk about that.
yeah. But other than that, like I'm excited for it to come back. That is the trials that I remember running with Pubin, and I think it was Graves 1997 who helped me through to the lighthouse the first time. So I'm excited for that. Like I have some real fond memories of trials in that form. Really, I don't have any nitpicks right now with it, but I mean that could all change with what weapons are coming back and what their roles are. So
yeah, I feel you on that.
I thought I think it's a great thing. I think it's healthy for the game. I think it's healthy for Bungie. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna play. You can bring everything from Destiny 1 back into Destiny 2, but this game doesn't play the same way in any of the platforms that you can play it on. It doesn't play the same on console. It doesn't sure as hell doesn't play the same on PC. Everything is faster now. And I'm really concerned that elimination might not be the right game mode for something like this, because you can zoom. I mean, Titan skating was a thing in D1, but like all three characters can not only have really good like forward momentum, but also like insanely vertical, and in some cases wildly lateral movement, which wasn't really as available in Destiny 1. So I'm kind of concerned that the game has outgrown the mode itself. I think if you like, so just this weekend there's that 5K tournament going on. Aside from True Vanguard's play your way, there's a 5K tournament going on. It's completely randomized teams, 3v3 elimination, and these games are over in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Because these guys at the top tier they move that fast. Like it is that quick. And so the one thing that I think it has going for it is connection-based, card-based matchmaking. I'm 10 times a better player than I was in D1 now. So I have confidence going in if it's a connection-based, card-based system, that I can probably be one of the top performers throughout the course of my card versus it being skill-based over everything else, where I'm just today, just this morning, like my first game of Crucible this morning, I legitimately matched a team from Korea.
Yeah.
And I got annihilated because of hit registration, movement, lag issues. So if that's not involved, like I think I'm hoping that connection and card-based matchmaking means actually local.
Yeah.
As far west as maybe California, right? And as far east as maybe the UK. Not too much further beyond that. Well, so we'll see. We'll see how that pans out.
That would depend on population numbers too, right? Like
yes, of course.
And Gartoka in chat actually raises an important thing with it that I kind of forgot about. It is going to be on the free to play New Light, which I know like Aura, you had expressed that you had wanted it to possibly be a part of the $10 offering. And some other people in the Destiny community have expressed that they don't want it to be free to play, strictly because it's going to be an interesting time that first week, seeing how many people get DDoSed.
I didn't want it to be free to play because I wanted there to be some kind of
wall
barrier to cheat, right? And so this came up during stream today. So DMG put out a tweet saying like you have to do something in order to gain access to trials. You're not gonna be able to like delete a character, delete account, create a new account, and jump right in. That's the first roadblock for cheating that I think is beneficial. What that is, what that's gonna entail, it could be 3 days worth of content. Because it's 3 days once it launches for us to gain access to trials. So it could actually be 3 days worth of stuff. The other thing is today in chat, people were talking about Bungie implementing an anti-cheat system that is not a human reviewing activity. Cheat, some sort of AI identification that takes action right away. And if that's in play, if that is in play, then I think we'll be fine. If it actually works, if there's an actual anti-cheat system in place that really legitimately boots people who are cheating, cool, free to play it is. I mean, I think all of us want this game to succeed. Like I complain about playing against players in Korea, but I want players in Korea to enjoy Destiny. I just want them to play people in their hemisphere. I don't think that's a wild, thing to ask of, right?
Mhm.
So
Right.
I want the game to grow, and free to play is a wonderful path. It's brought people to the Twitch community saying, "Hey, man, what am I doing here? I'm doing this thing. Where do I go next?" That's
Yeah.
good for every aspect of content creation and the game itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the question of free to play was one of the biggest when before we even knew Trials was coming back, how that was going to be handled and what roadblocks were going to be there in front of people who maybe, are cheating or DDoSing people and lose their account. Are they just going to be able to pay $10 to get back in? Are they going to have to pay anything at all? I think there is a benefit to it remaining free to play, but I am very happy to see that Bungie's going to be having some kind of system requirement. It's speculated that there's got to be a quest or something. I think it'd be hilarious if it was tied behind completion of all the main campaigns. So like have to complete the Red War, no new light, have to complete at least Forsaken, have to complete Shadowkeep, or maybe even just something as simple as you have to go through the Saint 14 storyline. Something
Yeah.
that's going to take you some time. If you get bodied and make a new account and try to jump back in, before you'll be able to reach Trials, because they're skirting a line there with leaving it free to play. I think it's important that they do that, but they've got to do something to keep cheaters out. I don't know if an automated system is really going to work. I mean, I don't even know how that would function. Maybe read the accuracy of a player over the course of a match. If you are using an auto rifle
Toggles
and
exist in many aimbot systems.
Yeah.
That by itself might not be a key indication, but
yeah,
aimbot's one thing. I think what makes people more mad about stuff is DDoS. Probably
DDoSing.
one of the key
Mhm.
ones. And this new hack that came with free to play Destiny 2, where players teleport with overshields, have infinite power or infinite super. Those
Oh.
ones I think are going to make people more upset. At least in combat, well, being elimination, aimbot might have a bit more weight to it, but you can turn those off and turn those on in game.
Make
That
it
would be a
look more
harder thing to
natural.
identify with
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah, and like I said, they're skirting a line there because it's such a difficult issue to deal with. It's a problem in basically any first-person shooter game, especially if it's on Steam. There's always these types of problems on PC. And at least when it comes to DDoSing, well, I think a big problem with DDoSing is just their network setup. Because they're using peer-to-peer systems, DDoSing is ridiculously easy, not just in PvP, in PvE too. Everybody knows the famous example of Goth and their raid team getting DDoSed because
Oh.
parties are open and you can just join somebody, and the moment you do, you get access to their IP. And you can just, packet flood them until they get knocked off the network. I think, this is going to be a remaining problem really until Bungie changes the way they matchmake.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Which
that's not
isn't
gonna-
happening in
Yeah,
this chapter
no.
of the game.
Not at all. So it's
It
going to
might even get worse
because
because a lot of people are talking about how this game probably won't be able to survive if there isn't cross-play, where
Yeah.
all platforms can play alongside each other. And it could become an even bigger issue at that point.
I'd have to imagine a dedicated server system would be a little bit easier for that. I play a lot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which has cross-platform, and it's seamless. Like you can jump. I play on PC, and you can jump right into a lobby with PS4 players, Xbox players. There's no lag at all. It is instantaneous, and I would love to see. Maybe not for PvP. I don't know. They'd have to institute some sort of matchmaking system based off of input method. That's how Modern Warfare balances. If you're on PC and you're using a controller, it'll match you with other people on PC using controllers or with console players. And if it detects mouse and keyboard at all, well, one, you can't swap input methods during a match. But if you swap to mouse and keyboard, like before you jump into a match, it'll match you with other people using mouse and keyboard.
Oh, that's
I could see something like that working for Destiny in the future, but I'd imagine that has to do with
I don't think they
more
have the
dedicated
pockets
server.
for it, dude.
No,
I
not at
flat out
all.
don't think they
Yeah.
have the money to make something like that happen.
Not anymore. Not without Daddy active.
Unless they're like, hey guys, can you just send us that code? Then we could just put it right in. That'd be nice.
It would be nice.
Real nice.
Like I said, it works fantastic in Modern Warfare. It's one of the few things that's made that game fun to play. We're not going to go down that road. But that's just one of the issues that's a bit of a problem with Trials, and I'm glad you brought up the issue of greater matchmaking with connection based and card based system.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the things that I was so happy to hear in the Dev Insight video, because I don't think anybody here is going to make an argument that whatever matchmaking algorithm they're using right now for Crucible isn't working. It's not. It's not creating a coherent good experience, and certainly a problem with that is the falling player base, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't convince me that there's nobody in the entire state of Florida playing Crucible at the same time as me, and that I have to play some group from Korea. There's no way.
The matchmaking itself wouldn't be as big a deal if the player base was larger, but as the player base gets smaller, they need to be either more active, more proactive, or understand that you have to loosen up the matchmaking parameters, right? So like, and the weird thing about like, it's so strange because last night I was playing with a group of friends, 6 friends, and I am the worst player of the 6 that were playing. There are some insane players I was playing with yesterday. And we matched 3 Guardians. It was their first time ever playing the game, ever. Like they were new light Guardians, and they decided they wanted to play classic mix.
Mm-hmm.
Like probably their 3rd Crucible match that they have ever had was against the 6 stack of probably 5 of the greatest players in the game. And so skill-based matchmaking gets worse as you increase your player skill on your team. It's almost as if you're forcing lobby balancing to work in your favor. If any players that are below the bell curve join, they're automatically on the other team. We just happen to match 6 players that were below the bell curve. It's just so strange. Like if I play solo, I'm matching Frostbolt, Grenader G, all these top 1% guys. And I play in a 6 stack, and that's when I don't see people that I really know. That's what I'm finally seeing, casual games where I can, joke around with weird weapons.
Yeah. And it's so weird because that's been the experience for a while. And I think that's one of the big reasons why so many people jump into Crucible in a 6 stack. You're right. It's this weird, I don't know what's going on with the algorithm there, but it's like if you try to match solo, you get the worst of the system. But if you match in a group, it's almost like it's trying to find another group to go up against you. Can't. And then just throws the first people it finds outside of that to you. I don't know. There's something weird going on with the matchmaking there. I was very happy to see that they're going to be using a connection-based matchmaking system for Trials, which, if it's going to be the in-game mode for PvP players, it's got to have crisp connections. It's got to be a consistent experience. And I really wish Bungie would kind of take that philosophy to the greater Crucible as well. There's definitely a place for skill-based matchmaking in PvP. Leave it in something like Iron Banner. Leave it in a comp playlist if that's even going to exist outside of it. But the way the skill-based matchmaking is working right now, it's not a pleasant experience. Not at all. Makes me. But what else about Trials? So one of the other things, Dan, you mentioned was the fact that power is enabled.
Yes.
In Trials. Yeah. And you mentioned that Luke Smith clarified that they're going to be putting a power cap. I think it was less clarified and more had his arm twisted completely around his back.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing. Let me see if I can find the exact tweet.
It's
because
definitely a good change.
Yeah, people were complaining about it. Like, after it was announced, they were like, oh, fuck, are you serious? We're going to have to deal, like, with 1,000 cap players? And it's I could see somebody just going into the Lost Sector and going, yeah,
finally,
I'm gonna go stomp this weekend. And like what he said was, we will be disabling the artifact for power enabled PvP, Iron Banner, and Trials until we can implement a power cap feature, that's cool to know that they're working on. This cap will allow us to weave artifact and power pursuit together when preventing unbound power growth in PvP. He continued, somewhere down the road, but before we implement the cap, we're going to talk about the effect power has on combat and PvP. Think deep dive, numbers, etc. All that is way more info than Twitter can take. See you soon.
Right. Yeah.
It's more info than most people can compute, honestly. Like, they're going to tell me all this stuff. They're going to use numbers and damage and percentages, and I'm going to be like, What?
I'm just going to wait for the video. I'm going to wait for the video to come out.
Wait for the Fallout video explaining everything in detail. I mean, they've talked about that before. They've talked about the effect that you have with power in PvP and like how many levels above somebody you have to be to see a noticeable increase in damage that you're dealing to them versus damage that they're dealing to you. So I'd imagine they're just going to go through all of that again. But I'm really happy to see there because I don't mind there being I don't mind there being an element of power level advantage in these in-game people. There just needed to be a cap on it. And this is something I talked about in the news video we put out for it this. I would be fine if it was like power is enabled. We're probably going to get a soft cap bump up to 970 this season, you know, from 960 like we're at right now up to 970 next. And then a hard cap of 980. I think that hard cap of 980 should probably be where the power cap is, where power stops mattering. So if you're somebody who's played through the game, gotten to 970, and then played through content to get your pinnacle gear, to get yourself up to 980, that's when you'll see some kind of advantage. And it'll be a small statistical advantage. Maybe you'll be able to survive an extra hand cannon shot or that. I think anything beyond that is probably a little bit too much. When you're 980 and you're running into people who are like 1024, that was where the problem came in. So I was really happy to see Luke Smith address that, because that was by far, I think, the biggest concern that came after the Dev Insight video for Trials. People were complaining about a few things, but that was probably the loudest complaints I remember hearing from the community. I'm really happy to see that Bungie done. Noted, I think they clarified that artifact mods are still going to be live in Trials.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Power.
Yeah.
Which
and
we'll see.
Yeah.
Solar battery coming to you live. Hunters will be using their Shade Step to get over shield, break bullet, magnetism, and aim assist, and using Wormhusk at the same time to go from 0 HP to 500 million HP, surviving an actual nuclear blast.
They are the nuclear blast.
That's going to drive me up a wall. I see the cap being at like 20 power levels, so it'll max out 1,000. Can't be higher than 1,000.
Yeah,
I see that being the way forward. I don't know why you get 20 power bonus or 20 levels on the Triumph for the I don't even know if it's for the seal or whatever for the season, but I'll probably see a 20 power level increase on top of that too. And they're talking about tuning the way that you gain XP, so I don't think you're going to be able to go into and grind out any kind of like rapid activity for XP. I think if they did start stacking XP rewards through strikes, you're probably going to see people doing, what is the one with the you can run it in like 3 seconds?
Lake of Shadows.
Lake of Shadows, yeah.
Lake of Shadows, but they took out speedy sword, so like that's going to slow that down to a little bit, I would assume.
To 12 seconds.
To 12 seconds.
Yeah, instead of 11 seconds, just done in 12 seconds. But I think that's going to be one of the things that you see. I think they're going to weight XP towards activities that are actually meaningful in games. So maybe even raid completions gain XP for your first clear through. We'll see how that all pans out. Ultimately, my biggest problem with power level being enabled in a game is that I don't want the damage numbers to be calculated in real time. And when you play Iron Banner and there's 12 players in there and you shoot these players, and like especially this evident with fusion rifles, because you see all 7 bolts connect and then there's a little bit of time that goes by before you see the damage numbers that pop up on screen. And these are players that I've played in classic mix where it doesn't happen. So I don't want damage calculations in real time. I want some kind of setting in the background that does it automatically and knows what the damage output is going to be for each player, like as it, so it's not as evident when there's less players involved. From what I can remember, now power enabled in Trials in D1, like everybody was max power, so it didn't matter. It was a useless feature in the game because everybody was the same.
Everybody running was.
We have yet. I don't remember anything about Destiny, the Trials of the Nine. I literally don't remember anything about it.
It was butts. There was total
was power enabled in it?
Yeah, I believe so. But like
it was a similar situation. Didn't matter.
Yeah, it was so easy to get up to.
Oh, that's right. Because like public events and clan things gave you powerful rewards.
Right.
No matter what you did, you gained max power level. Okay, yeah. So
I have the darkest before because of a clan engram, not because of anything I did.
This might be the first time that we actually see what power level in Trials of Osiris means. Because I don't think we got an accurate depiction of what that was in D1 or Trials of the Nine. So.
Yeah, I think you've got a definite point there. It didn't really matter so much back in Destiny 1, and it'll be an interesting experiment to see exactly how things are going to be Which thankfully Luke says they're going to be going into in depth explaining exactly how power works in the game sometime in the future. So be looking forward to hearing about that.
I don't
Now-
know. I don't know that
Yeah.
I care how it works in game necessarily,
Yeah.
because I don't think it works in game. I don't think anybody who plays Iron Banner consistently. I mean, I don't have bad internet. I have very good internet speed. I can't imagine that these feelings are isolated entirely within myself, where damage calculation almost feels like the game thinks about it for a second before it spits out numbers. Like,
Yeah. So we just want to avoid that sort of situation, especially, you know, I can see that, especially in something as pivotal as Trials, where people are, you know, maybe on game 9 and the game is sitting there trying to calculate damage numbers in real time, and it might cost you a kill or a game or so, you know, a flawless run. I don't know. I can definitely agree with the notion of just having set numbers for PvP. Probably a better way to handle it. Live encryption with an already laggy connection. But another thing was there was a bit. Let me know if you guys saw this complaint going around. So a lot about Trials this time is returning content.
Mhm.
All the maps are returning D1 things. All the armor is going to be the Exile armor returning from D1. And at least a few of the weapons it look like are going to be classic D1. The sniper rifle looks like it's going to be the Eye of Saul, which was the original Trials sniper. And we are getting some new weapons. We got to see a few new ones there, like a shotgun and a rifle. But a lot of people seemed a little upset that this first iteration of Trials of Osiris in D2 is basically Trials of Osiris from D1. How do you guys feel about that?
there was a meme on Twitter, and it was like Bungie brings back year 1 stuff, and then it shows like the community like setting fires, and it was like Bungie brings back original year 1 Trials, and like it was like people rejoicing. So it was like showing people being like counter what's the word for it? I forget the word for it right now, but like it
Contrarian.
was that's kind of what it was. It was like, wait a minute, so we'll see. I don't think there's enough maps in the rotation in Destiny 2.
Yeah.
I think they're bringing back 3 very solid, very fun maps that a lot of people have very good memories of. I do not care for Exodus Blue at all. I hate that map, but I'm
Yeah.
excited for the people that are excited for it, because even if I didn't like the map, I can respect and enjoy the fact that my friends who I played with made some insane plays. Like I played a card with Pervy and Gratsby, and Gratsby and I just did what we typically do, which is derp around. And we left Pervy in a 1v3 with 3 supers, and he baited all 3 supers and killed all 3 guardians. And it was like,
glorious.
that I will always remember Exodus Blue for that exact reason. Like, so I can
Mhm.
still get hyped and happy, because I think there's chances for people to build more memories around it. I'm happy, very, very happy.
This comes as free content too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how. Maybe it's the same argument of like, I mean, you don't have to put any money down on the Barrelhead. It's all like they've already got your money, but they're also like giving us something that the community has felt was missing, the devs felt was missing. If it's skinned the same way, as long as it's rewarding to go into, regardless of if you are the most skilled or the least skilled, I think it's another activity to play in Destiny, in a game that you're probably already going to enjoy. It's a free meal. You got a little stub for a free meal, so eat it and enjoy as much of it as you can.
Right.
I'll tell you what makes me curious is like, what is the content we're actually paying for then?
Yeah. We've no
You
idea.
know, like if that massive amount of content, which is the focus of the entire season, is free,
Is it though?
what's the paid content?
Is it the focus of the entire like?
Yeah,
What was
whether they want it to be or not, it absolutely
Step
is. The
into a
community
wolf
will not see anything other than that, at least initially.
I wasn't gonna let that slide, Dan. I wasn't gonna let that slide.
I think you
You can't just in any sort of Destiny related content say whether we wanted it or not.
whether we
and
want
not,
it or not.
not follow it up with the Zavala speech.
Aura, come on.
Come
You know
on, man.
I
better.
didn't even hear it. I was on my tangent. Sorry.
This man was focused on Trials.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good point though, because like, who knows what PvE content we're getting?
It's also kind of a shadow way to bring the D1 content to PC.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which a lot of people have been. I don't know. I can understand why you would be mad, but I think the stuff that we're going to get in. We've talked about whether this is a PvP or a PvE game in the past. In my mind, it is a PvE game first with PvP ability.
Yeah.
If you so choose to play it, and I enjoy it myself. But
I mean, the numbers that dictate that more players play patrols, log on, play patrols than do any other activity in the game,
Yep.
like combined. Like,
yeah, you have to
yeah.
remember that like we're the people who play it probably the most. I don't know where we are in that echelon, where we three who are sitting here, but like we're in that group, and there are people that play it just for like a couple of hours to wind down after like a day at their job, and I think the PvE side is always going to be serviced harder. So this season, I think while Trials is good and a good thing for the PvP community to have back, I think we're still going to get a pretty large PvE chunk, especially like if we're talking about the like this week we also got a lore chunk.
Yeah, we did.
Where Osiris visits the anomaly, I believe. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah. Something.
And so then he has like some weird 1960s psychedelic dream. And it's pretty good piece. I think we're going to see stuff with. We're going to see more of these kinds of things. I can't help but think that like Osiris is maybe trying to save the universe in like the timeline.
Well, he is.
And yeah, so he's
That's
going
his job. That's the whole reason he's in the Infinite Forest, is to prevent.
Yeah. He's just Doctor Strange, just moving all the pieces so that like when we go yeah, exactly.
They can't make Rasputin and a battle with Rasputin be a seasonal thing.
No, but
Rasputin has earned, like Savathun, in my opinion,
Yeah.
has earned a DLC sizable situation. When I think of like story that is left, like I'm thinking like a Rise of Iron type, like a Forsaken style. That's what Savathun and Rasputin, in my opinion, deserve. So I would be really bummed. Like I could see this being a situation where we try and like dismantle some of Rasputin's arms to make him a little bit weaker for a larger thing. But like I don't want a $10 instance of fighting Rasputin. I want massive content for a 9-planet weapon.
Right.
Yeah.
And some moons too, maybe. I don't even.
Yeah, I mean, who knows where they're going to be going with the story for this thing. I get the feeling that the whole Rasputin versus Osiris is probably going to be just one of those little story elements that maybe isn't going to be as big as we all wish it were going to be. It's probably not going to be too much in terms of relating to the story. And whatever it is, we're probably going to learn about it within the next week, because this is coming out the second week of March. We're in the first week of March. We're probably going to be learning something about the PvE content we're going to be getting this week. As a matter of fact, how do they usually do this? It's usually either Monday night or Tuesday. Maybe expect some kind of news drop, and then certainly more of that information in the TWAB.
Yeah,
because it's right on our doorstep. When it comes to the question of trials and whatnot, I don't know. I guess we've already covered basically everything there about that. I'm not upset about it coming back with a bunch of D1 stuff, because I think this is kind of a testing step for Bungie. This is pretty obviously something that they thought about for a while and worked to reiterate in the manner they thought would be most nostalgic. And I get the feeling that this is just sort of a testing ground. The reason it's all D1 content this time around is because Maybe that's a bit easier to import in. They can put it out
Mhm.
there, test the waters, see if it works. If everybody likes it, expect a bunch of new trial stuff next season. And to note, of course, there isn't, a whole ornament glow thing going on with the armor for Exiles once you go flawless and all that kind of stuff. But there are new trials weapons. It's just the armor that's returning from D1. So there are going to be some new weapons in there. But like I said, I get the feeling this is just a, for lack of a better word, a trial run of Trials of Osiris. And next season and probably every season after that is going to be.
Here's the question.
That's fine with
they sneak one weapon from original OG Trials, all 2 or 3 years of it. What weapon is it?
It has to be Doctrine. It has to be.
Dan?
I would think iconically that's the weapon.
You think Doctrine of Passing is the most iconic weapon of Trials of Osiris in its entirety?
Maybe Jewel. I mean, I don't know. I think
that's a valid. I mean, the two that come to mind for me would be the Messenger or the Doctrine. I think those were the two heaviest handed weapons that. Now I'm partial to the Stellar Vestige because it was a fusion rifle. Hi, I've been using these for 5 years, people. This isn't like I'm not new to fusions. So I've always been partial to that. That was part of the year 3 loot pool, I'm pretty sure, when the loot pool wasn't all that great. Because it was the first time through, it was the Messenger that was the really good gun, right? Original OG first Trials. And then the second time around, we had Doctrine, which was insane.
Yeah.
Very good.
And then the third one came around and it was kind of meh. So I could see them sneaking one gun. I know they're gonna have a bunch of new loot, but I think it'd be worthwhile to have one weapon from original OG come forward that they haven't discussed.
Yeah, I absolutely 100% agree. I mean, because we only saw like 2 or 3 new weapons in the course of that trailer. Anyway, we saw like the shotgun, we saw a sniper rifle. I think we saw a pulse rifle, and of course, we got to see Outbreak and its a brand new ornament. So like, there's an entire list of weapons for Trials that we haven't seen yet. And with them bringing back all these things from year 1, House of Wolves Trials, I could see it being Messenger. I could see Messenger making a return. I mean, they're bringing back Eye of Saul. That's a House of Wolves Trials weapon. So you're onto something there, I think. Either way,
it would also go in line with the buffs to auto rifles that we're getting too, because it wasn't Doctrine a max RPM 720 or something.
It was a hose. It was a full
it was a bullet hose. Yeah.
That could run counterbalance and like what was it, hand laid stock for just perfect stability.
Yeah, that's going to be something on mouse and keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Yeah, you ain't lying.
So, and this also begs the question, like, how many people do we think are working on Destiny 2 right now?
I'd say a lot. There's a lot of people who work at Bungie. There's a lot of people who work.
Right, but they also have Matter going on right now, right? We have, or whatever that's going to be called. Unknown Player had a pretty good video. I'm posting that in the chat about Destiny 3. And the prospects of that coming in the new year. We one of the hints is that Luke Smith, when he's working on a new game, before he announces it, he changes all of his Twitter social stuff all black. And then when it reveals, and then once he starts working on something new, he jumps back in it.
Black.
So if that's to be believed, then he's working on something new. I would almost think that there's a smaller team working on all of this. For whatever reason, I don't know if necessarily he's working on Destiny 3, but that would make sense.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of keeping it on life support until they can talk about it more. So I don't know. It's interesting. I would like to see Destiny 2 kind of flesh out a little bit more, but they are also an independent studio now. And
yes, they are.
If their money's not going necessarily into Destiny 2 at the moment, or like a majority of it isn't, then I could see it going into Destiny 3. So
I hope so. Yeah, I think that's probably right. They're probably very much in a Rise of Iron sort of situation right now. Those of you who don't remember, after the completion of The Taken King, the main Destiny dev team started working on Destiny 2. So there was a very long period of time where we got no content after the release of The Taken King. while the live team worked on maintaining the game. And ultimately, it was the live team that created Rise of Iron and the later on the Age of Triumph, kind of the in-game phase for Destiny's lifespan. I think that's probably something very similar to what's going on right now. But that leads to another question. Do you think we're going to have a Rise of Iron scenario with Destiny 2, like maybe one more expansion? We do know that there's at least 1 or 2 more seasons after Season of the Worthy.
Yeah.
We're
I'm
gonna
gonna
have
call
seasons through summer, and then September would be your turning point. My thing is, does it make sense to be working on a Destiny 3 situation right now? Because and even people in chat were saying like the engine, you need a new engine. You
Yeah.
can't. This is a 2000 whatever, 2013, 12,
Yeah.
even older
old.
system,
It's real old.
right?
That-
So you need a new system. We've got new consoles hitting the market in. Is it this?
It
It's
is
supposed to be
this
before
year, I
Christmas
think.
this year.
coming December. Yes.
Right.
And
So
with the idea that for a year, Xbox is going to be supporting both Xbox One and Xbox Series X. So that's a full year of like that kind of cross-platform thing. Like these games
I
have
just-
to be the same.
I don't think it makes a lot of sense to be working on Destiny 3 now, given the state that current generation consoles are in and transitioning to, unless you plan on being the flagship release for those next gen consoles, or you're implementing cross-play.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to be strategically as to what you'd be doing in that situation. And they couldn't just go and be like, we're just going to abandon console. We're just going to go with PC.
No.
Yeah. Oh, that's not.
No,
gonna
no,
happen. No.
Yeah.
So-
There's no way that's happening.
Like, I don't know that. Well, I'm sure that the team that's working on things isn't as big. I don't know that it's Destiny 3 that they're. I don't see it. I just don't see it.
It's an interesting video. I would suggest that you check it out. It's
I mean, I hope I'm wrong.
yeah, he
Honestly.
kind of, the unknown player kind of lays out all the information, like even some of the Anon the 9 stuff from back in the day. Just
Yeah,
kind of
that
like
was
updating what the leaks are, what things that he's heard murmured around and things along those lines. So I would still recommend watching it. It's an interesting view. So we have that. We have what's next? We have the sunsetting
Bunch
of guns.
subclass-
We got
yeah,
subclass
sunsetting of
changes.
guns. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I guess we can kind of lightning round through a lot of that stuff
Yeah.
right now.
Quick and dirty.
Getting the harsh stuff out of the way. Alongside the Dev Inside video, Luke Smith popped out of the woods to post one of his director's cuts where he talked a lot about the future of the game and the philosophy behind decisions at Bungie. And just real quick going through a lot of the things there. Next season and in future seasons, they kind of want to move away from the seasonal activities. So stuff like the Sundial, stuff like Vex Offensive, and they want to make core activities, stuff that you're going to be running ad infinitum all the time. Stuff like strikes, maybe public events, Crucible, those things that you can run endlessly. They want to kind of incorporate seasonal elements into those activities rather than just making a new 6-man and then throwing you in for 3 months at a time before they make a new 6-man activity, which I think is fine. They're looking at changing that sort of thing up. We've got some news about faction rallies. They're dead. There's no plan for them coming
Long
back.
live faction rallies.
Yeah, the faction rallies are dead. Long live faction rallies. Luke mentioned that basically they don't really have any sort of plan for those in the future. They didn't really warrant a revisit, but they are going to be taking some of the gear that was tied to factions. I do believe they said all faction armor is going to make its way into the loot pool, like just a drop pool from different vendors and stuff like that. And some of the best faction weapons will be popping in as well. I don't know what they mean by some of the best faction weapons. I get the feeling with Bungie trolling, it means a bunch of, what was the Dead Orbit scout rifle, Haunted Earth or something like that. It was awful. Terrible faction rally reward, and it's probably going to be exactly what they throw into the loot. But yeah, factions are dead, but if you like that armor, it is going to be making its way into the game. I don't really have too much else to say about faction rallies other than why didn't they just bring back the way factions worked in D1? It wasn't broken. Why did you try to fix it?
Because we have 9 other NPCs that we get shit from right now. I mean, back then there wasn't Titan IO, EDZ all with their own vendor with their own slop, and that's what it is. It's slop.
I would trade Devram and
He's
Asher
a nice
Mir
guy, all right.
all
He's a
of them.
very
He's a nice
pleasant
dude.
person. If there's
I would
someone to get
trade
rid of,
him.
it's Asher. Asher is such a jerk, all right.
You need jerks though. You need
Look,
jerks
Bungie.
to show you.
There's enough jerks in Crucible. I got news for you.
Understandable.
They don't sell the armor.
Yeah.
Look, man, Bungie, I'll give you a buy one get one free. You give me one Executor Hideo, I'll trade to you all the planetary vendors. You can even take the waifu from Nessus. Just fail safe. You can.
That's my girl. Listen, you leave. She's the best character in this game, hands down.
Yeah, she's pretty good. Fail safe is pretty good, but I don't know. I wish that faction rallies are one of those weird things that they reinvented in D2, and it didn't need to be. At least we're getting that armor. Okay, so beyond that, a lot of subclass changes are getting ready to drop with Season of the Worthy. In particular, they're making major changes to a lot of the one-hit kill abilities in PvP, and if only Aura could begin to contain his smile at what's happening to my beautiful little handheld pocket nuke. The handheld supernova.
Dude, I got killed by one of those today from like 20 meters. I was so far away from it, and it killed me. I was legitimately outside of fusion rifle range, and I got killed by it.
Listen,
and
I'm
I
sure
was
you
like,
deserve.
I don't. This is my problem with interpreting text in a document, is that I don't know what these changes actually mean. So what was it? A 20% reduction in range?
So these are the changes. Yeah, there's a lot. These are the changes that are coming to Warlock's handheld supernova, which is seeing by far the greatest amount of changes of all the one-shot abilities, which for those who don't know is the weighted knife for gunslingers and of course shoulder charge for you crayon eaters out there. But here's the changes for handheld supernova. They've increased the activation time by 0.6 seconds. They have reduced the hold time from 3.5 seconds to 2.5 seconds, so you can hold on to it for 1 second less. They've reduced the range by 20%. They've tightened the horizontal spread of bolts by 25%, which actually might work out to being kind of a buff at closer range, since it's got to be a bit more consistent at close range. The bolt explosion now does self-damage, so you can blow yourself up if you panic, shoot it at somebody who's shotgun rushing you. And they've reduced the bolt explosion radius from 3 meters to 2.5. Those are the changes coming to handheld supernova. How do you feel about that, Aura?
I like everything except for tightening the horizontal spread by 25%. Everything else is great. My thing with holding it for so long is that you could hold it and then do a swap and then still have your grenade charge.
Yeah.
Like, make it so that you have to throw it or you lose it.
Yeah.
After 2.5 seconds, it throws it. You can't cancel it. If you've committed to this act, like, that's it, that you're in it. Because that was one of the things that got me. I think the increased activation time is the biggest thing, because it really had no charge time to it whatsoever. The 0.6 seconds is going to be probably my favorite part about it. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, an extra over half a second of charge time, I think, is pretty significant there. I hadn't thought about the change you mentioned there. I think that would have been a pretty good nerf for handheld supernova, just making it so that once you've charged past a certain point, either you use it or you lose it. Because one of the biggest benefits right now is that you can charge it up, wait around a corner, and swap weapons and all that kind of stuff, and just continue to have that charge. You can't do that with a weighted knife. If you shoot that weighted knife out, it's gone. Although I guess you can do it with shoulder charge if you don't hit me, right?
Yeah, you can just stop running.
But that takes time.
And you can even shoulder charge air, and it doesn't consume the the whatever it is,
it doesn't
ability.
consume your melee charge.
I mean, it sounds like they buffed the hell out of the super though.
Yeah, that's the second part of this change here. In order to kind of measure out with the handheld supernova, they have rebuffed Nova Warp in several ways, and I thought it was kind of funny. They've increased its damage resistance. It's given a longer duration, so the super lasts longer, which is a little interesting because Nova Warp already lasts still a decent. It's got a decent amount of length to it, and they've reduced the blink cost even further. I can fly again, baby. It's funny because this is the exact list of changes, like of things that they nerfed a while back.
Yeah.
And it just kind of seems like they're undoing that nerf.
The area of
Yeah, no,
effect of the
super
super isn't such that I'll die to it from around the corner,
That's true.
from forever away. That was my biggest complaint with it. Was none of these other things. It was the fact that like I'd be nowhere near it and would
Yeah,
die to
yeah.
it. I don't fear the majority of Nova War players. It's an awkward super to use. It's just an awkward, weird. I mean, on mouse and keyboard it might be different, but on controller, there's an awful lot of like things you got to be doing in order to use it correctly. It's not like these other supers where you just like press the button, you know what I mean, and you're in it. So like, there's a little bit of moving parts to using this super, which makes me think that its skill gap is a bit higher. I hate using that word because it's Destiny, but like, it's a bit harder to use than some other supers are, and you get annihilated out of it really quickly if you're not careful with it.
Yeah.
You can get,
yeah, so I mean, I'm a Warlock guy. I'm happy with the changes there. I think it's a little interesting that they've increased the duration of it and reduced the cost of the blink, because you can already blink a fair amount of times from that super. But as long as they don't, re-increase the explosive radius of your charge, I think there's probably not too much of an issue there. In its original form, I could charge it here in Florida and blow up Aura. it was a little silly, but
I'll still be using my tether that I die if I try to cast because fuck
Yeah.
tether.
Well,
Yeah.
didn't they say that they're getting that bottom tree tether is getting a buff?
Yeah, they mentioned that towards the end of the TWAB, that they didn't have time to go into all the subclass changes there, but they're nerfing things, I think, like Stormcaller top tree, Striker bottom tree, and Arcstrider bottom. But they're buffing things like Voidwalker bottom, which is the Devour path,
Mhm.
Night Stalker bottom, and I do believe Code of the Missile, which is Striker middle tree, the
Yeah.
Yeet Superman, which is good. I'm really excited about hearing what they're going to do with those underused subclasses in whatever patch notes we're probably going to be getting, of course. This
Did they say they were buffing bottom tree Hammer Titan?
I don't think they mentioned Hammer. at
Good,
all.
because it's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Is that the
talk-
Sunspot one?
That's the sunspot one,
Yeah.
and those sunspots will, dude, they last forever. And if somebody walks through them, they're dead.
Yeah,
I've gotten triple
absolutely.
kills after I was long since dead because 3 people decided to run through it. Like after I'd cast the super, after I was already dead. The buff that it gives you to your weapons while you're in it, like it's a pretty strong super. It's not going to track you, or like make a U-turn like the middle tree will. Like the hammers don't have much aim assist on them, but
Right.
sunspots are strong.
But speaking of tracking, there are of course other one-shot abilities that are getting retuned a bit. The other biggest change is probably going to be the shoulder charge. They've basically, I think they reduced the lunge distance of it by about a meter. Right now, I think the maximum.
Yeah,
Let's just pull it up so I don't mistake.
the shoulder
Uh,
charge abilities. So, the shoulder charge abilities, we reduce the auto targeting angle by 50%. That might sound like a lot, but acrobatic titans could previously auto target to make an instant 90-degree turn. We also adjusted the lunge distance to 5.5 meters for both
Right.
targeted and untargeted. So that's a buff to the untargeted one.
Target.
Targeted lunges were previously 6, while untargeted lunges were previously 4.5. These changes make it more consistent experience while lunging.
I think that's overall a good change. I like that untargeted lunges were bumped up a bit in terms of their maximum travel distance. 6 meters was really a huge distance for shoulder charge to go. With the way that it automatically targeted you if you were anywhere within like a specific circle around that Titan was a little ridiculous, and it's probably more ridiculous on PC than anywhere else, since you can basically spin in a direction
And it'll do it for you. Yes.
Yeah.
It is
It's-
every bit of aim assist.
It's like they take the aim assist from Golden Gun and put it on a melee attack.
Yeah.
So I think those are interesting changes for shoulder. And then after that, it's the Hunter's weighted knife. I think they just knocked down the aim assist on it, right?
They made the hitbox smaller, and the tracking is also. I think adjusting the tracking is going to make the hitbox smaller and affect the aim assist of it all within one foul swoop.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
No more wanted Angelina Jolie traveling knives.
Well, the problem, it's such a trade-off. It's so weird because like that throwing knife is lethal no matter where you are.
Yeah.
If you throw it at the beginning of a map, you throw it across the map, and it lands on somebody's head, they're dead, right?
Yeah.
Handheld supernova is immediately within a specific range, and so is shoulder charge. So throwing knife's a weird one for me.
Yeah.
I guess we'll just have to see. You know, I think. Well, this is one of those instances where I wish they would give us numbers and tell us exactly how it's going to work. But
I don't think they can give you numbers on tracking and aim assist or
Yeah.
hitboxes without
Tracking
affecting
and range.
major
Yeah.
data breaches.
And we'll see what they are soon enough. I'm assuming the patch notes will probably come on the 10th. So I don't know.
Just very quickly, there's two other things. Warlock melees, because we activate our melee slower, we're getting enhanced range melee, which means back to D1, baby. We're getting a longer tickle finger than we have right now to kind of put us in parity. Oh, I'm going to be tickling you from all across the battlefield, Dan. All across the battlefield. You're going to feel it on your bum. And
I'll take it.
And the other big thing, I wanted to hit this before we left because I think it's a major change. Titan barricades are seeing a huge change when Season of the Worthy comes out. They're bumping up the health of the Titan barricade from 500 HP to 600 HP, but they're making it so that special weapons and heavy weapons deal more damage to your barricade and can pop it easy. I think they gave us like a quick list of things that deal 30% extra damage to your barricade now, and it's like snipers, grenade launchers, linear fusions, machine guns, trace rifles, and I think any weapon with an anti-barrier mod. So you're going to deal 30% more damage to a barricade with that. And then shotguns and fusion rifles will now deal 60% more damage to a Titan barricade. I thought that was a really interesting change.
I think it's too much because I two-shot barricades now and kill whoever's behind it with an air intel.
This is true.
So if it's a 60% buff, does that mean that I kill it in one shot?
Yep.
That in my mind, that means I'd take it down in one shot. So
yeah, one shot, and then you get to take his socks off.
Ooh,
I guess
just a little bit.
Cold feet. I think it's an interesting idea. I like that. I like the notion of having to swap to a special weapon to deal with it. I think that's a good way to go. But you're right. I think 60% might be a little bit strong with some of the shotguns and fusion rifles we have. Right.
The only other thing was trip mines sticking to people.
Yep,
is back.
You can unicorn again. Yeah.
Although I don't think it'll kill. Because they only do like 160, 170 damage. So they won't kill, but
you can still do it.
You can meme people once again. And I have no information to back this up, but I'm going to say thank you, Holtzman. I'm going to credit you with this one, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah. So,
but all right, I think that was it for the biggest changes that were in the patch notes, right?
Yes, that was for the stuff that was in the patch note or in the TWAB. I also want to say awesome work to the person who won the movie of the week this week. I don't know if you've heard it. It is Kitsune Two-Tailed Fox anime song, and it is wonderful.
Right on. Laura, is it time to move on to audience questions then?
Yeah, we only have a couple here. So Gartoka asks the question, so do we feel this season pass will be heavily the upcoming season pass, Season of the Worthy? Do we feel that this season pass will be heavy PvP based to recover from the first two seasons of PvE?
I mean, we don't really have enough information to make that determination. We talked a bit about this. Aura mentioned it earlier. I think there's going to be a focus on PvP there with Trials of Osiris, but that's for a minority of players. A minority of players play PvP. An even smaller minority of players play in-game PvP like Trials and Comp and stuff like that. There's no way that they could support the game by making an entire season dedicated to that. So I'd imagine there's still going to be a fairly significant amount. I would say it has to.
I don't know. I'm really, this season is looking like it's gonna be really weird in regards to that balance.
Right.
Well, I'm really curious to see how it pans out.
Well, we learned before what it's like when they only focus on one
it's bad
game type. And it's like, oh yeah, I got really sick of that game type. Thanks, game.
Well, yeah, they also focused on the worst possible solo single
Yeah.
game type. Like they anyway, different topic for a different show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Butt Coffee asks, if there is a contingent of the Bungie team working on D3, do you want Season 11 to be sort of culmination of all of D2 with season-long quests, storylines leading into D3?
I don't know that it needs to be season 11 for it to be that culmination, but I think I would say that the player base would benefit from a culmination to tie up whatever loose ends of story or to dig deeper into current storylines. I mean, we still know what's going on with Aldrin.
Right.
The only storyline that's really tied up and finished is Red War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the original storyline of the game.
Well,
Like
and then we don't know what's going on with Callus.
Don't know what's going on with Callus. We don't know what Rasputin's doing now that he's awake. I guess you
Yeah.
could technically say we have an end to Curse of Osiris' storyline now, finally. But yeah, it's basically just the Red War and maybe Osiris whose stories have been finished here. The Dreaming City's still cursed. Aldrin's, I guess, just alive somewhere out there with pulled pork. Rasputin's doing something. Nobody knows. Nobody's asked him.
we
Yeah.
still don't know what the Dorito thing that we got that we're given to Eris is.
Yeah.
She's just playing around with it. It's her. Well, I can't make that joke on the show.
Fair.
But yeah, hey, who knows?
Yeah. I do want them to tie it up sometime. Personally, I would, if they're coming out with Destiny 3, I would want it to be a year after the launch of the consoles because of the parity that Xbox has already promised between Xbox One and Xbox Series X. So,
You're saying you don't want an Xbox 360 situation where it held Destiny back.
right.
You know, PS3 and Xbox 360 were the games were fundamentally designed to run on those platforms,
Right.
which held back Xbox and PlayStation capability.
Exactly. I would want it.
Yeah. Okay.
I would want it to be. I would hope that in this time they're using it to look at new engines or maybe some that are already built, and that they're making them the most of their time there. Yeah. So I don't know.
You know, and honestly, I do think that there's probably a contingent of the team that's working on D3 right now, and I would hope that it comes out maybe later in 2021 at the earliest, because that'll give time for the PS5 and Xbox. We do know that dev kits have been sent out for those those consoles. Those were sent out
For a
like
while.
early last year.
Yeah.
They've been out for a long time. So here's hoping that they're working on that kind of stuff, because I would want D3 from a baseline to start at Xbox One X and PS5 and move forward.
Yeah.
Do you think that Destiny 2 has to last until that point? Or
No.
do you think there's a point at which Bungie could be like, hey guys, you know,
We're sunsetting
done.
it.
yeah,
We're
we'll continue
done.
to update and whatnot here and there,
Yeah.
but like there's no new content coming out. Skeleton Crew working on updates, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
that's 100%.
a prolonged period of triumph. You know. So I don't know. I could see
they have
something
an
like
Age
that.
of Triumph. That's it for
I
new
still,
content.
I feel
They
like
keep
there's
up.
something big coming in September. I honest to God
Yeah.
do. I still think there's people working on something that comes in September, and then maybe thereafter, leading into 2021 is where they say for the year of 2021, we're probably not going to have much for you guys up until.
Pay attention to E3, or at that time, if E3's still a thing.
Yeah,
So many
they'll-
people
everybody's
pulling out.
dropping
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, they'll just be like, well, we're gonna like, they pick a day sometime in April or May, and they're just like, you see Deej, and he's just staring into the camera, and he's just like, you want to see some shit? And then all of a sudden, it's just a giant 3 appears on the screen, fanfare, they're fucking running through the streets, fire everywhere. It's something like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Radaka. So it seems with every season, the update just brings a new horde mode. What kind of content would you guys like to see?
See, that's difficult because it's kind of hard to make content in this game that doesn't boil down to horde mode. I mean, even when we've got stuff like the Menagerie, which I still would say is probably some of the best content for repeatable activity that Destiny's ever seen. It's basically just a horde mode with extra steps. Um, I think part of that is trials. That's the non-horde mode content that drops
Yeah.
that I would have liked to see. But in PvE, if we're not getting a new raid, then I don't really know what else they put in there. More strikes, I guess. I'd like a new strike, maybe. That'd be nice.
Another dungeon, more secrets.
It
Right.
feels so weird because like horde mode was like never a thing.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
we like forever people were
We were
complaining like,
asking
dude,
for
like
it.
We were.
man, imagine like Bungie putting in a horde mode. You know what I mean? Like just whatever. Now we get it. Now we're kind of like, dude, I kind of don't want to
So
do horde mode
tired.
anymore.
Sick of horde mode.
Part of it is because it ends. Like the thing
Yeah.
about a horde mode in many games is that like you go until you reach whatever level you've gotten to until you're dead.
Yeah.
And these ones are actually finishable, completable, whether it's a timer, or whether there's a boss. There's some form of okay, this is the actual end path. And the horde mode that's missing from Bungie is them just eventually flooding the room with like 100 yellow bar ogres and 100 yellow bar shriekers to the point where like you can't
You
do
will
anymore.
die.
That's
With 10
that's
barrier
what-
knights.
right, like that's the thing. That's what's missing from a horde mode in this game. And until they implement it, people are going to be kind of dissatisfied with what we've got in terms of like what one instance of new boss with new mechanic are we going to get that we can all easily go in one phase, you know? That's
Yeah.
the part that's missing. I'm
Yeah.
okay with horde mode. I just want a different version, of different type of horde mode.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Take the gloves off, Bungie.
And something like that would actually be more prolonged, that they could evergreen content for the most part, that they wouldn't I mean, he talked about it in the director's cut that was just released, is that like a lot of this stuff isn't evergreen content. They're working on stuff like that.
Right.
Trini asks the question, what weapons do you not mind leaving behind? This is in reference to the director's cut, in which Luke Smith said that certain weapons would have a lifespan in end-game activity for 9 to 15 months.
Yeah, I forgot to bring this up earlier. I guess maybe we'll get into a deeper conversation about it next week. But essentially, we're kind of going back to the D1 system of you get a content release, you get some weapons that go along with that, and then when the next content release drops and the light level goes up, you can't bring that stuff forward. You know, very much like going from year one Destiny 1 into the Taken King. All your Vault of Glass stuff, all your trial stuff was left in the past. It looks like they're going to be going back to a system similar to that. There's going to be an infusion cap on Legendary. I guess kind of pushing you towards using the new stuff. I've got some opinions on that, but like I said, maybe we can have a longer conversation about that next week, because I forgot to bring it. It's my fault. For chat who's angry that we went through the entire show without bringing that up, that's my fault. I forgot about it. Blame me. But what weapons would I not mind leaving behind? All the garbage rolls that I have from D2 year one in my vault.
I think
Yeah.
anything from year. So here's the thing, and we'll get into this a little bit. Everything from year one that is not Nightfall specific or exotic.
Yeah.
That would be things that I'd be okay leaving behind.
Yeah.
And then as we progress through year two, we could start taking a look at things from Season of the Forge and
Mhm.
start leaving some of those that are not Nightfall specific. Because I think Nightfall specific. I mean, those Nightfalls come forward too, right? I
Yes.
shouldn't have to go into and refarm a whatever I had already
DFA,
farmed.
yeah,
Just because it's in year two now.
Yeah.
I had the same feeling with Armor 2.0. I shouldn't have to go back and reacquire every piece of freaking armor because you want to put elemental affinity on it. Anyway, that we'll get more involved in that too, but that's where I'm at to answer your question specifically.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good point. I hadn't even considered the fact that Nightfall exclusive loot should really be excluded from that sort of thing, because what a kick in the pants that would be to finally go through and get like Duty Bound and DFA and all that kind of stuff. And then boom, a new expansion drops. That Nightfall is moving up, but your gear is staying back. Oh, yeah, that's
I mean, the
that's-
one that really comes to mind, and this
awesome.
is a year two weapon, but is Mindbenders.
Yep.
Imagine not being able to
Yeah.
infuse your Mindbenders, having to go back and refarm that all over again. Now, the gun's not going to be as good this next season anyway, but
Yep.
that's the example that I would say. Those are
Yeah.
the things that I think should be available no matter what. I don't think exotics should ever expire in game. They're exotic for a reason, and there's enough shitty
Agreed.
exotics in the game, honestly. So why not keep the good ones alive?
Well,
I can agree with that.
and there's that point, but there's also like the way that it's worded, at least how I read it, it seems like it would be for in-game activity. I think
Mhm.
it's in order to change up the metas a little bit in use for like Iron Banner, if you can consider that an in-game activity at this point, trials,
Shouldn't.
and like your
Right. So like your escalation protocol weapons wouldn't be available to you.
well,
Your
they're available
Red
to
War
you.
weapons
They're available to you, just not I
in
mean,
a
you're-
end game capacity.
Yeah,
Right. So
yeah.
you could play regular Crucible with your year 1 weapon and
Yeah.
be fine, which is okay. We do that now. I mean, I do that
Fine, yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
I do that without infusing right now. I've got 750 gear all over the place that I use.
Yeah,
My malfeasance
exactly.
was 750, for example. So yeah,
Yeah. So they're not throwing out the baby and the bathwater. They're just, they're just saying you can only use the baby in certain things.
I don't
Hmm.
think. Well, we'll talk. We should probably have a podcast, like literally record one specifically just on this topic alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But who's to know if Pinnacle or Ritual or whatever the hell they are, weapons are going to be included in that too.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's going to complain about Regix's Claymore being antiquated when Regix's Broadsword came out the following season.
Right.
So in reference to chat, when you're talking about Luna's Howl, well, if Bungie just made another version of that gun that was available in the Crucible loot pool, the way AS Luna was, for example, how they're talking about after Crucible in-game rewards, you wouldn't be as opposed to either earning it, or you wouldn't care as much if you didn't get it if there was another version, a more recent version. And we'll get into
Right.
this.
Yeah.
This is, I believe this is good for the game, and we'll get into it about why. I think
Yeah.
it's good for the game.
And on that
Same time
last
next
point
week.
there, yeah, same time next week for the therapy session. But I just want to say on that point, they haven't mentioned anything about pinnacle weapons or ritual weapons, but it's going to happen, and it's going to happen for one reason only: Recluse.
Well,
This
Mountaintop.
is how they get rid of Recluse
Yeah.
and Mountaintop.
I mean, I haven't seen anybody using. I mean, just the only time I ran a 989 Fall today, it was the first time I've used Recluse in months.
Mm-hmm.
Months, because there's other
Yeah.
guns that'll do the job, especially at 9 billion light level.
Yeah. You don't need to be. You just don't need to use your entire artillery on like stuff anymore, because most of the activities are what, 750
Yeah.
still. I don't know. But yeah, that's all the questions.
Well, all right. And that is it. That is the end. We've made it to the end of episode 230 of the Planet Destiny podcast. A lot of good conversations in here. We got to cover a lot of the big patch note changes. Again, maybe Aura's right. Maybe we should get together sometime over the week and discuss the legendary weapon thing. I would love to. Oh man,
Bonus
I'd love to talk
episode?
to- bonus episode.
Bonus episode, maybe?
Mm.
I'll talk to Moon.
I'd love to talk to Mercules about that too. He's got some pretty good opinion on it. And everybody seems to have a pretty big opinion on that. So maybe that's something we can get into over the course of the week. But that's it for this one, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Remember, this is basically the last season or the last week of this current season. So this week we should be learning a lot about what's going to be coming in Season of the Worthy. I would expect that we're probably going to get some kind of video coverage of that, or maybe a live stream for whatever's going to be coming next week. So make sure you're staying tuned. We will be covering all of that on the Planet Destiny channel. But of course, before we get on out of here for tonight, we are going to let you know where you can find every one of us across the internet and what we've got going on over the course of the week. Starting with you, Mr. Aura.
What's up?
Come on, man.
My name is Aura. You guys can catch me at twitch.tv/Aura or on Twitter. Evil Aura 3V_AURA is my @ on Twitter. Major announcement tomorrow, as a matter of fact. The countdown is down to tomorrow. Major, huge, crazy, awesome announcement tomorrow. So you guys want to make sure that you're there for that. Other than that, I'll be live when I'm live. I honest to God don't know. Things in my personal life are changing between careers, that kind of thing. So we'll see what the stream schedule is. Like, you could definitely catch me weekend mornings, that's for sure, no matter what. I'll be live weekend mornings, but throughout the course of the week, I don't even know what the hell's happening anymore.
I agree with Chad. I agree with Rocks there. The announcement is Mixer. He's going to Mixer, boys.
Major announcement, dudes. Like
Major
major, and huge.
He's going to
Huge
be a
announcement.
Discord-only streamer.
Oh, and he's opening up an OnlyFans. Get that
Yep.
premium puppy dog content. I'm ready. I'm ready.
No.
I'm ready for it. What? It's just feeding
I
Lola
don't-
treats.
Okay,
What are you
I'll
eating?
take that.
What kind of OnlyFans are you sub
I'm
to,
not-
Dan?
I'm not liable to say.
Where can they find you across the internet, Danfinity?
You can find me on the internet, Danfinity, but the eyes are L's on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find me on Twitch 3 days a week now, taking another day as a production day so I can do stuff for not only this Planet Destiny podcast, but also another podcast in which I'm part of, which I am resurrecting and reconfiguring. It's just going to be called Side Quests, and I'm doing that weekly now. So you can find me on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 10 p.m. At twitch.tv/Danfinity, and on Sundays when I'm not working. So that's it. That's what I got. What about you, TBL?
Right on. Hi, my name is The Black Link. You can find me pretty much everywhere across the internet, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all the usual places at The Black. This week, of course, I'll be covering whatever news drops for Season of the Worthy. If we get some, it'd be kind of interesting if Bungie didn't say anything and then waited until like Monday night to put something out. I don't think they've ever done something like that before for incoming content. So we're probably going to learn something about, all of that this week. So I'll be, of course, updating the Planet Destiny YouTube channel with all of that at youtube.com/Planet Destiny. Additionally, Division 2's first expansion, Warlords of New York, drops this week. I'm probably going to be having a lot of live streams over on my personal Twitch page for that game. I have been grinding on it nonstop for the past couple of weeks in preparation. I'm ready for it. Super psyched about that. See all that kind of stuff there. But all right, everyone, that is it for episode 230 of the Planet Destiny podcast, your guide to everything going on in the Destiny universe. We'll catch you all next week.
Happy birthday, Linda.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Linda!